Welcome to
Split the Defense,
where Jordan Webster, Ted Evans, and Craig Pearce talk about the NHL and all things hockey.
Split the Defense
Can be found wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. It's also broadcasted on Amherst Island Radio, 101.3 FM, and online at CJAI.CA.
Welcome to Split the Defense Hockey Podcast. Jordan Webster, Craig Pearce, producer Ted Evans. The NHL regular season kicked off, and both of our teams got their games in on Wednesday night. The Toronto Maple Leafs and the Colorado Avalanche. They played game 1 of 82. So I do want to start with the Avs, and later on in the show, we have a special guest. We have Stephen Brown of TSN and Downtown Sports joining us to chat about the Leafs. And then we will get into the Avs, but first things first. Hall and Oates are out.
Hey.
The Leafs have a new goal song. Okay? Yeah. Apparently they have several. So the Leafs confirm that they will change it, and they are going to base it on a selection of 3 or 4 tunes based on Original 6 games, Next Generation, Throwback Thursdays, and a regular season standard to be unveiled last night for us on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So what did we hear? The first thing, in Luke Fox's words, he says, Noah Gregor triggered the needle drop on Steve Aoki's 2012 dance remix of Kid Cudi's Pursuit of Happiness, filling the barn with fresh celebration anthem. I, for one, love it. Yeah. Do you care?
I was slightly underwhelmed initially because it didn't come over the broadcast amazing. But once I actually heard people's response from the crowd and obviously I know what the song is, but I can dig it, especially if it's not fixed. And if they told us that this was going to be the goal song for the next 10 years, I'd be like, ooh, maybe not the best pick, but if we're gonna go through a few and it's not set in stone, then yeah, it was fine. It's a bit of a pump up, right?
Well, exactly. It's the chorus, I think. It's the I'm on the pursuit of happiness, and I know everything that shine ain't always gonna be gold. Hey, I'll be fine once I get it. Yeah, I'll be good. Right? The Stanley Cup.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little corny, but you actually think about it.
Happiness. I don't know. I think it's great. So I guess that's the regular season standard. And then after that, we're going to find new ones coming in for original 6 games. I guess that was also an original 6 game. So I don't know. That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, they said right off the top that even though it was an original 6, they wanted to debut the regular season song. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Full of information on Split the Defense Hockey Podcast for you there, listener. Anyways, so they're going to have one for original 6 nights, the Throwback Thursdays, and the Next Generation. So you got to think the Throwback Thursdays are going to be classics, and the Next Generations are going to be today's hits for the kids,
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
So
throwbacks, are we thinking are they going to make us feel a little bit old with some of these throwbacks, do you think?
Oh, I bet.
We're going to throw all the way back to Len, Steal My Sunshine in 2000.
1990.
Yeah.
I actually heard that Hall & Oates hasn't had its last day, though. They
might be back on Throwback.
That Throwback might be a day you hear it again. So, and that actually I like, because it's not a bad goal song. It's just we've just heard too much of it. So, it'd be kind of fun to hear it once we haven't heard it for a while.
There you go. Yeah.
Lots more to come.
It's fun on its own, but yeah, it's out. It's got to be out. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on. That was fun.
Yeah.
So the Avs. Let's start off with the Colorado Avalanche. I got a couple of notes I want to run through and get your reactions, Ted.
Let's go.
And then I want you to just pretty much tell me how you really feel.
Okay.
So Alex Newhook scored a goal against the Leafs for the first time as a Hab.
Wait, I thought this was Avs news.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's Avs related. Alex Newhook just got traded from the Colorado Avalanche to the Montreal Canadiens for a first and a second in the 2023 draft. I think it was on draft day. So
Yeah, I think
that
so.
was big. And he's playing for the Habs now. So that's just a little note. Per GM Chris McFarland, there's no timeline on Avs Frankie.
Yeah.
He's
No, he's
not
long
he
term.
doesn't he's out indefinitely. That's not a
Yes.
good word.
No, it must be. I think he had some kind of surgery going on, and I don't know if that's gone well. Not that it's gone horrible or anything, but I mean, I don't think the recovery is anything like just 6 to 8 weeks or anything like that. It's very much indefinite, no timeline.
Not
Yeah,
good.
That's
not
not good
good.
at all.
That's bad. That's
Yeah, I was
bad. So
really hoping for Frankie to fill that backup spot, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen.
hopefully Georgie plays his butt off, which I'm sure he will. We will get right to that. A couple other notes. Colorado Eagles signed Joel Kiviranta, which I thought he was an NHL player in Dallas, so I didn't realize that he was going to just sign with Peter Holland, Leafs legend, a 1-year AHL contract. They don't even have NHL deals. I thought that was kind of interesting. But obviously both of them are trying to play to get signed to an NHL deal. I have no idea
Yeah.
Colorado's contract status. Are they at the max? They must be close. So here's some stats.
yeah.
Do you have any idea?
Well, I know that once they put, like even without without Landeskog and Frankie on the long term, which then gives you space, they still have space with them still on there.
I don't mean so much contract space. I mean contract spots because you can only hold 50, right?
Yes, yeah.
So a lot of the times you can just like sign a guy to an NHL deal, sign him for $775. He goes to the AHL. His money's buried because you can bury up to $1.1 million and it doesn't go against the NHL salary cap. And then these guys still have NHL deals. They can be brought up and dropped down. But if you sign just an AHL contract, you can't be called up. You only play for the minor league team. So they must be playing to earn that.
Yeah.
They still haven't really earned that NHL contract, but they've played well enough to earn the AHL contract and make some money.
Yeah.
Right?
Per cap friendly, 46 out of 50 contracts. So they do have room for 4 more.
Okay.
So that's probably what's going to happen then, right? They're probably playing for an NHL deal. We had a move last year because the Leafs are so up against the cap and all the goalies went down and they had to sign Keith Petruzzelli. So they made a trade for, I can't even remember what they traded for, nothing. And then they signed Petruzzelli, who was on their AHL team, but he was on an AHL contract. They signed him to an NHL deal so they could bring him up to back up a game.
True.
I smacked myself in the face there. All right. So a couple of stats. First time the Avalanche opened the season on the road since the 17-18 season. Only the 4th time Colorado has started the season with a road trip of 3+ games
Yeah.
in their history.
Wow. Yeah.
Ended the 2022-23 regular season with a franchise record 11-game road win streak and set the club mark for road wins.
Wow.
So they're going to be all right.
Yeah.
Georgiev also led the league with 22 road wins last year.
Wow.
Guy's good on the road.
Yes, he is.
He loves being away. He's like, I love traveling.
Yeah. He's like, it's all good to me.
And McKinnon is second in the league with 63 road points last year.
That's wicked. Yeah.
Yep.
Jeez.
That's where I expect Nate to be, somewhere in those top few spots.
So over the last 4, sorry, what, Craig?
Do you think it's because they're always playing at like elevation at home? So like when they go other
Totally
places,
have the
they're just
advantage.
like it's easy to play everywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, and vice versa. Teams sometimes struggle when they come into the Avs barn, and it's that air, right? That mountain air.
Yeah.
And they all condition to it, and they're used to it, so they play much, much better. Yeah, that's a thing. For
It's talked a lot
Denver
about
sports.
in baseball too. It's a big thing. They all talk about it.
And
the
the
ball
Nuggets.
flies different too, so it's even a bigger thing in baseball.
Wow.
And basketball with your shot, trying to shoot a shot in the net. Right,
Is that a
different
thing?
elevation. Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
And you're trying to run. You're running the whole time. Like you're running the whole time. So like the elevation is gonna.
Yeah,
Some
definitely.
people
I
have
could
to
see
take
that
oxygen,
part of it.
right,
Yeah.
when they go like.
True.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So. Over the last 4 seasons, since the 1920 season, the Avalanche are 25-0 in the state of California, going 7-2-0 in Los Angeles, 6-2-0 in San Jose, and 7-1-0 in Anaheim. The Avs carry a streak of 11 consecutive wins in the Golden State into tonight's contest against the Kings. I guess that was yesterday's
The other
contest.
night. Yeah.
But that's something to think is going to be great. So before you tell me about it, because I know you're going to get right into it and there's going to be some dirty things, I do want to let you know that Los Angeles' Philip Deneau has been fined $5,000, the maximum allowable under the CBA, for slashing
Good.
Ross Colton last night.
It was an awful slash. It was terrible. And it was so deliberate. It was everything that you should be fined for. It was good. I'm glad he got fined.
That wasn't the only dirty play you talked about too. Your
God,
group text went off about
So
a little
we
PLD.
we gotta go all the way back. Let's start at the beginning. Let's go first period. Start. What's your first period memories? What happened first? What happened early?
Avs took a lead early. They went up early enough and looked really good. They were just dominating. Then they scored 2 goals later on, I believe still in the first, within like 51 seconds of each other, or 55 seconds or something. And they were just dominating. They were all over LA. But I will say LA did have a few breakthroughs. Doughty broke through the whole team, went like end to end, I want to say twice or something in the first period. And like Drew Doughty went, and Georgiev stopped him both times. There was another good chance LA had, and Georgiev was looking really good. First period, yeah, I was pretty confident the Avs were just going to win this game. Next period is where things got a little bit dicey, and I started to have a little less confidence, but I still knew they were going to pull out the win. But what happened? There was a stoppage in play, and like clear stoppage in play. Whistle had gone. It was a few seconds after, and P.L. Dubois comes in and passes the puck over to Fiala, and he wires it into the net, like way after the whistle. Way. The pass was after the whistle. The shot was after the whistle. And immediately all the Avs went right over, pinned him to the wall, and it was a big thing. They cut right to commercial. So I'm listening on the radio feed, too, on Altitude Sports, and they're talking. And because sometimes you get these things when they go to commercial, Connor McGahey will still be talking about it. So you can hear a little bit more of the action. And so I was listening to that, and they were really giving it to Fiala, and PLD got into it, too. So it sounded like Colorado kind of gave them what they deserved during that break. A little bit of the rough stuff. A fight broke out with Locke, Logan O'Connor, and the
Laferriere.
Yeah, the rookie.
Like who you not to be confused with Lafreniere.
Right.
I know. The first time I read it, I was like, wait, no, he doesn't play for LA. And then, oh, wait, that's not the same guy. There's no, it's not even the same. Yeah. So he was out there. That guy looked pretty good, actually. He had like 4 shots after 2 periods. He did really well in his first game. He was kind of fun to watch. They let him go out there and do the first lap on his own in LA. Gave him the real treatment. He got power play time. It was good to see for the kid. I like that.
Did you see his family? Did you see the video of his family
Yes.
losing their mind after he got in the fight?
They got right to them at that point, and they're all jumping up. And then after, they're watching videos, showing each other their phones, going like, "Look at! Did you see when he did this?" And, it was it was great.
Hilarious.
They were right into it. So that was really good for his first game. But then, that fight and everything, and you could see him in the box. There was a point. There's 3 LA players in the box, and he's one sitting there after his fight. And he turns over, and you could see him mouth. He said, "That was my first fight ever." They must have said, "Did you fight before?" Like first fight in the Chell, first fight ever. Like first fight.
I've never done that before.
Like, yeah.
Did he handle himself?
Yeah. It pretty even bout. They each got some shots in. He kind of got the takedown at the end. It looked like O'Connor was going to get it. Then he kind of spun him around and then pulled him back and around and under and got the takedown. So good first fight ever, and good first NHL game ever for him. Fortunately for the Avs, though, we did get the win. As things went on in the third period, it was right at the end of the second period, actually. LA had scored a goal that I was not worried about. It was whatever. It happened. And then right at the end of the period, not even 10 seconds left, maybe 10.1 seconds or something, face off at center ice, and McKinnon tries to go forwards. And Kopitar notices this, catches him on it, and just flips the puck straight up into the air and over all the players, lands right in front of Georgiev. He kind of bobbles it and gives off an awful rebound. LA, I believe it was Byfield. I think it was Byfield got down there and got a stick on it, trying to pass it out front, and it went off Cale Makar's stick and into the net. It was so bad.
Wow. That's a crazy play.
I know. I'm a bit of a bright side hockey watcher and very superstitious. So I kind of took it as a good thing because the Avs had the worst lead in hockey going into the third 3-1. LA scored, made it 3-2. I said, okay, you know what? That's okay. I'm okay with this because now we're going to go into the third with a better mindset. Yeah. Right?
How is that even a thing?
I don't get that.
It's a superstition. No, because you guys, you don't watch like I do.
Okay.
It's a thing. So I was happy about this. I was happy. I said, you know what? Give them that goal. We're going to go into the third now with this mindset of they're on our tails now. We can't just play loosey-goosey like we're up 2 goals. And that's why it's the worst lead in hockey, because it's a mindset.
Well, if you were a Leafs fan, you would debate that being up 3 goals when you had 4 and the other team had 1 would be much more cursed.
It was 4-1.
But go on.
Yeah.
Continue, Ted.
It's cursed. Sure. But yeah, no. And then Colorado buried a couple more.
That's it.
Yeah, and that was it. That was really it. It was good to see all the guys. The third line looked so good. They were all over. Ross Colton had an amazing game.
So who's the third line? That's Wood, Colton, and Tatar?
Yeah,
oh, that's a sick third line. Craig thinks they're mid, but I think it's sick.
Dude, it was crazy. Ross Colton was doing things I didn't even know were possible. He got an assist on, I forget. It must have been... I think he must have been on a penalty kill or a power play because he wasn't just on his regular line, but he made an amazing pass. He dove into the boards, basically, like head first into the boards, sacrificed his body completely, and chopped the puck outwards into the middle of the ice for the Avs to go in and score. It was incredible. He was great on the penalty kill. Instant Avs favorite, Ross Colton.
So, final score?
5-2 for the Avs.
Ooh, good game.
Yeah.
Much better than what we witnessed last night.
Yes.
We are going to get into some Leafs with Stephen Brown. It was game 1 of 82. It was game 1 of 82. We'll put it at that. It was fun, right?
Yeah.
It was fun. But we have...
It was tough at times.
It was, yeah. It was at the beginning and then in the middle. Then near
I think
the
I have
end.
a text from you. I think I have a text from you that says brutal.
Yeah. Oh, brutal. Yeah.
It was just like end of the first period, just
All I said
brutal.
was brutal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, that sums
I think
it
it
up.
was when I think it was right when Cole Caulfield scored the third goal, but that was the TSN turning point. That was what turned it all around. When they called that back and said, no, that's not a goal, that's when it all came back.
Yeah, definitely the turning point. I mean, it was a tough, like I said, it was a tough go at the beginning. I didn't lose hope because this is what the Leafs kind of always do to us, right? And that, they have the ability that they do. So, but when the second period started and then almost instantly that the Montreal scored again, that's when I was so disheartened. And then slowly but surely, we, after that goal came back, we started to see like the momentum switch. It was definitely the turning point.
Yeah, thank God. Well, Austin Matthews scores a hattie last night, so that was sick.
Oh, what a performance, eh?
Marner won it with his shootout. They tied the game, but they won the skills competition, so that's what gets you the points. Now it's NHL, right?
Yeah.
Today's NHL.
Yeah.
You got to go win the skills competition if you can't do it in 65, boys. So
Yeah. 3-on-3 is so good though. Like sometimes, like I hate the shootout, but the 3-on-3 is very entertaining sometimes.
It is.
So,
It should go longer. It should go 10.
yeah, I heard. I think it was JD Bunkus talking about that today. Yeah, and he suggested the same thing. Like do 10, and like I think that by 10 minutes you're gonna have a decision.
More than likely, yeah.
That's right.
10 minutes of
Half a
3-on-3,
period.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of a quarter of a period, yeah. I think that 10 minutes makes way more sense.
I guess that's something that like the Players Association would have
It's
some
TV.
beef with, though.
It's TV rights, right? Because the
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
TV's channels have to change to a different program, right? And if they don't,
Fair
then they're
enough.
taking money out of that to this, and like, are you paying extra for that time? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that's why they have it out. Is they kind of need a that's definitely going to be over by this time, right?
yeah. That is true. Yeah,
Even though like a shootout could go like
yeah.
65
Multiple
rounds,
rounds,
it
yeah.
just-
Right.
but it never has. So I guess it's
No.
worked out for them.
We've had a couple long ones. Last year there was like wasn't it? They went through the whole roster, right? Like almost. So, but yeah,
Jeez,
most
that's
of the
impressive.
time you get it done within like at least like most of the time it's the 3 shots, right? But
Mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to talk more, at least with Stephen Brown. I want to get into a brand new segment that Craig picked the name of, and I absolutely fucking love. It's called "What the Puck is Happening."
Yeah.
Around
You
the
like
league.
that?
That's amazing. What the puck is happening around this league? So it's great for this first thing, which we're going to cruise through because we don't have much time, unfortunately. But the NHL blows. They suck. We all know that already. Gary Bettman's shitty at what he does, but the NHL made a decision to ban players from using Pride tape this season. And everybody came out with a statement and said how unfortunate it was and that they totally disagree with it. Not everybody, but like a lot of people. And that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. But I said, I really want to see somebody go against it. And Scott Lawton comes out.
Oh.
Scott Lawton, what an absolute gem. Fucking Scott Lawton, friend of the show.
Love Scott Lawton.
You
Yeah.
know what? He is totally going to go out there and put Pride tape on his stick on Pride Day. And he says, if they got something to say about it, they'll come talk to me. Yeah, Scotty Lawton.
Oh.
We love you.
Yeah.
So you know what?
love
Support. Why hate? Brad Marchand had a same thing, had a similar idea. He said to be pushed to do something you don't want to do or to be banned from using something you believe in. There's got to be a line where we can all have our beliefs and support each other. It's unfortunate we can't find common ground. And I feel it's a very blanketed statement, but that's 100% true. It's unfortunate that there can't be some kind of common ground. Like, you don't want to? That's great. Your decisions affect you. That's fine. Let everybody else do what they want to. It's not forced on anybody, but this is the night that we're going to celebrate that. Or, you know what I mean? Like, you could even have a minority groups night, for all heck's sakes. A support of the diseases night. Like, it doesn't have to be just cancer. It could be all sorts of things. And then everybody can go and support their own, right? Like, well, my mom doesn't have cancer, but she had heart disease. So, you know, my uncle, he's got a brain thing. So I want to support brain. Like, all these players could support their own things on these special segregated nights. I hope they find some sort of common ground. And then whoever has different beliefs can support what they want, right? They can choose to support, and there'll be a common theme for these. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like I still think it's moving backwards. We're moving the special nights, but I think it's moving so extreme in the other way to ban the ability for these players to put, you know, like something like Pride tape on their sticks. So I don't know. I think this is just a total oversight. Like, it's hard to believe that this is like. There's been so much backlash. Like, this can't be the plan going forward.
No, it's a total dumb move. Total bonehead move.
no, none of us like it here on Split the Defense. We don't agree. We don't agree. We don't agree. We could go on about that for 45 minutes, and we probably will get back into it if it goes any further. Because, like, if this is a rolling story, it's going to continue to be a story. It's got to be a thing.
For sure.
So we'll definitely chat more into that. Couple of notes. Buffalo Sabres have locked up Rasmus Dahlin and Owen Power. Owen Power got a 7-year, $8.35. Dahlin got an 8-year, $11 million contract. Hello.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. This is the paying people like early, long term, this will look really good in the future, right? But
They have a lot of
lots
guys.
of money right now.
They have a lot of guys locked up till like 2030. Like a lot of
Yeah.
guys, and like that's not close. Like it's 20. You're like, oh, that's
No.
right around the corner. It's 2025. It's not. It's no. We just keep talking about the cap going 2025. We're still a slower year roll. It's still
Yeah. Better
2023.
hope those work out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's
Yeah.
a long time. So they're gonna have those players in for a long time. One more thing, we're gonna hit. Then we'll hit break, and then we're gonna have Stephen Brown on from Downtown Sports and TSN,
Yeah.
and we're gonna talk some Leafs, and that's gonna be absolutely awesome. So you're definitely gonna want to check that out. Tim Peel, you know who Tim Peel is? Retired referee
Yeah.
because he got caught saying that I'm going to give Nashville a penalty. Yeah. He, of course, admits, he says, did I give Sid Crosby some breaks over the years? Did I give Alexander Ovechkin, the superstars, some breaks over the years? Absolutely. Because guess what? That's what 18,000 fans are there to see. They're there to see him, not some fourth line plugger. Ooh.
Wow. Jeez.
God love
That's
you,
rough.
Tim Peel. He did know for a cross check to the head, the refs have to call it. The refs are going to call it. I don't think Hockey Ops is going to say, well, Buffalo's not very good, so let's call less penalties on them. And and of course he runs his mouth. But like that part is not good. Not good.
No.
I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah. That's so weird, eh? Like that, like that's throwing so many refs under the bus. Like,
All right.
Oh yeah. He's
Like,
what
can
an
you
awful
give
guy.
me one good reason that we should trust NHL refs? No,
No?
you can't.
no, I just can't believe it. Like
I don't know.
it's just so blatantly in our faces, but
Yep.
like no one does anything about it. Like it's either to me like you change the rule book so it allocates for this, or you call the rule book properly. But
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, let's get on with Stephen Brown. I'd like to introduce our guest to the show. He's a story editor for Sports Center and TSN, has a YouTube channel called Downtown Sports, where he covers in-depth analysis on the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he has over 8,000 subscribers. Welcome to the show, Downtown Stephen Brown.
hey, thanks for
Hey.
joining us, Steven.
It's awesome to be here, guys. I haven't gotten a chance to do something like this in a little bit, so I have a feeling it's going to be a lot of fun.
Definitely
Awesome.
going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really appreciate
we
it.
appreciate you.
Yeah, this is great.
So I'm going to start big news around Leafs land. Of course, we're going to talk a lot of Leafs, Steven. I hope that's okay. I can tell by the background. I think that's going to
Exclusively.
be all right.
Yeah,
So
no problem.
big news around Leafs land. Fraser Minten made the opening day roster, and he played last night. And after watching him, do you think that he is going to get a 9-game treatment and go back? Do you think that it's too early to tell? What are your thoughts on Fraser Minten up to this point?
I mean, I guess I can kind of go back to like his last year playing junior hockey because he was playing behind Logan Stankoven for a while. And if you're not familiar who Logan Stankoven is he was one of the better players on Team Canada at the World Juniors this past season. And when Logan Stankoven left to go play for Team Canada, Fraser Minten just absolutely lit the WHL on fire with the Kamloops Blazers. So like when you're looking at like numbers and stuff like that with the CHL and prospects and stuff like that, it's hard to get a gauge of where they are in their development because the CHL doesn't release stats like ice time. Like this guy is playing
Right.
14, 15 minutes a night and he's absolutely ripping things up. In terms of his development right now, I think long term it probably would be best for him to go back and be that number one guy since Logan Stankoven's not going to be there anymore. And he's going to get an opportunity to play power play on the penalty kill. He's going to be out there and be relied upon for that Kamloops Blazers team. But he had a really good preseason, and Sheldon Keefe just seems to love this guy. I remember he had a quote where he was talking about him where he's always coaching on the bench. He's always vocal. He's always getting his teammates involved in plays. He's always learning from other guys. So I think the more games that he does play, I think we're, like, it's an NHL debut and stuff like that. Sometimes the nerves are going, and that entire bottom six wasn't really the greatest last night for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I'm sure we'll get into that. But I think he's going to get better and better as he goes along. But I do ultimately think he gets sent back.
Right.
Yeah, I think ultimately I do agree with you too. It's like it's a really exciting story for preseason, and I still want to see what he does. But ultimately it might be better for him to go back. He was the story of the preseason, but Matthews was the story last night. So he really dragged the Leafs to the win. Are you glad that they kept the whole gang together, or do you wish that they made like some sort of a drastic change this offseason?
Man, I mean, if you're going through like of the core four or the core five, because you can include Morgan Riley in there. Morgan Riley just had a playoffs for the ages, so you're not moving him. You're not moving on from Austin Matthews because he's one of the best players in the entire NHL. You're not moving on from John Tavares because he's not going to let you do that with his no-move clause. And William Nylander and Mitch Marner, and it gets into some pretty hairy territory there, where Mitch Marner, depending on who you ask, is the MVP of this team. He plays so many critical situations when it comes to power play, penalty kill, even strength, late in games, and I don't know how you would possibly replace that. And then if you're looking at William Nylander, well, he just seems to keep getting better and better and better, and he's taking on more of a leadership role too. I mean, John Klingberg missed a number of games in the preseason. He was out there spending time after practice, as he always does. He's always the last one off the ice after practice, and he was helping Klingberg get acclimated there. And then they set up that goal on the power play with Nylander where he absolutely bombed it the other night. Right. So it's just like we're seeing these guys grow, maybe not at the pace that we would like them to. I mean, they're certainly very frustrating. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not comfortable giving you an answer there just because there's way too many variables involved, and I don't really know what they would do. I don't think that the team would be better. I just think it would be different.
That's fair. Right. And I think, I mean, obviously we love these guys and the team loves these guys, and they've brought in some, maybe some more people to protect these guys this year, some more snot, some more jam, some more chutzpah. So with them adding the heaviest of heavyweights, are you pro Ryan Reeves or anti Ryan Reeves, Stephen Brown?
On the first day of free agency, I was against the signing to the absolute T. I was with the mobs on Twitter, and I didn't know what to make of it. But if you would have waited until day 2 of free agency, you would have been able to have given an entirely different opinion on it, because just Ryan Reeves by himself, without adding in Max Domi and Tyler Bertuzzi there, the team is very cap-strapped as it is. And it's just like, without seeing Tyler Bertuzzi and Max Domi there, it was hard to justify the $1.35 million for a guy who's not going to bring a lot of offense, which has been their problem in the playoffs, and especially the depth scoring. So, but now, seeing Tyler Bertuzzi come in, seeing Max Domi come in, seeing Matthew Nyes, and even the contributions that you might get from a guy like Fraser Minton, it allows for a guy like Ryan Reeves to come in and start flexing his muscles and just absolutely stunting on guys.
Yeah.
He's a lot of fun. He's a lot
so
of fun.
much
You can't
fun.
say that he's not fun.
Yeah, it was
Hockey's
great.
supposed to be fun. Hockey's supposed to be fun. It's not just supposed to all be numbers and salary cap nonsense, as much as we love to get into the nitty-gritty.
It's a lot of fun for me. The business side of hockey is like so much fun to talk about. It's like half the reason that I'm so invested in this sport. It's a lot of fun to talk about. Anyways, the Toronto defense. I've asked these guys in the past, but I'd like to know where you would rank the Toronto defense in the rest of the league. So I have a scale. Is it top third, middle third, or bottom third of the league?
Well, even like going into the playoffs last year, And you could say that the defense was better last season than what it was coming into this year. They were probably a little bit better than middle of the pack. And when you're looking at the amount of teams that make the playoffs, there's only 16 teams. And if you're only a little bit better than middle of the pack, then that means that more than half the teams in the playoffs are better than you defensively. And that's a problem because the teams that win don't really have any weaknesses. But then you can make the argument, you can look at Pittsburgh back-to-back years in 16, 17. You can look at the Florida Panthers and their blue line last season. It's not the strongest. Sometimes you can just get lucky with a couple of things and things go your way. But at the same time, yeah, there's some improvements that I would like to see Brad Treliving make on this blue line, specifically on the right side, maybe a little bit later on in the year, but also on that left side. Like a guy like Mark Giordano cannot play 75 plus games this year. He can't do it. If he's going to be flying over the top rope every other night, you got to be able to give him a couple
That
days
was great,
off
though,
every
wasn't
once
it?
in a while.
Yeah, I love that. That's not the first time he's pulled that move off either. That's his go-to move.
The entire newsroom at TSN just absolutely lost their mind when he was the third man in, just absolutely coming.
Yeah, you know what? He wasn't even the third
Oh,
man in.
yeah.
It was Austin Matthews was right in there like a dog, and I had no idea he even had that in him. Yes, he was right in that scrum.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I was pretty impressed. Like, just to see, like, I saw Marner. He even grabbed the smallest guy he could find. Like, it was, yeah.
Cole Caulfield.
Yeah, I think I was gonna say that. I think it was
course
Cole
you did.
Caulfield. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, the defense did struggle last night, but so did Samsonov, right? And I think a lot of Leafs Nation had their confidence waver. Do you think he's gonna bounce back, or do you think young Joseph Wall is gonna be the guy who takes the net by the time that the games really count?
I mean, they're like towards the end of the preseason. Sheldon Keefe talked about there were things in Samsonov game that they would like to see tighten up, and Samsonov is a guy that he's. I don't want to call him injury prone, but he's never played more than 44 games in a season, I believe, or 42, something like that. So he's not your number one guy. So automatically, right off the bat, when you're coming into this year, you know that you're going to need more from Joseph Woll than maybe you're comfortable with. Because even a guy like Joseph Woll, who's had injury problems over the last couple of years, hasn't necessarily played a large body of games yet at any pro level, really. I mean, he was drafted in the third round the same year as Matthews. He had an incredible run in the American Hockey League last year. He was an all-star. He came up and was awesome towards the end of the year, and I really don't know why he didn't start more games there, especially with Samsonov towards the end of the year, kind of looking a little bit banged up, getting up real slow after a lot of saves. I like Joseph Woll. I like Ilya Samsonov. Samsonov has been a winner and a performer almost everywhere he's been. Up until he's gotten to the NHL, he's got really good numbers in basically every single international competition he's played in. He had really good numbers.
He won the Gagarin Cup, didn't he?
In the playoffs.
Yeah.
I believe so.
I
haven't looked at it in a while, but I believe so. So I think Samsonov will bounce back, but they're going to need a fair amount from Joseph Woll this season in order just to get to the end of the regular season. And then in the playoffs, I don't know who's the starter there. We're going to have to see.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And just, I mean, this whole team, we've looked at, the core guys, the supporting cast, the defense, the goaltending. In your opinion, Stephen Brown, are the Leafs in a better position this year than previous years at winning the Cup?
Well, I mean, they traded away so many draft picks last season. It's just like if you're looking at what they can do, because I always like to look at the team as the team that's going to go into the playoffs and compete for the Stanley Cup is not going to be the team that you go into night one of the regular season with. There's going to be
For sure.
Some injuries. There's going to be some additions. There's going to be some trades. They might even trade away a couple of guys off the roster as they've had the last couple of seasons. I don't necessarily know if they're in a better spot because I don't know how much they're going to add at this year's trade deadline, but I do really like the additions of both Tyler Bertuzzi and Max Domi as guys who step up when that who step up when that light does get brighter. I mean, Max
sure.
Domi is a guy that just relishes in it, and you can go back to the 2015 World Junior Championships in Toronto. His time in Montreal kind of quieted down a little bit when he was playing in Arizona and Columbus, and then he's had really good playoffs in back-to-back years with the Hurricanes and the Dallas Stars last season. And Tyler Bertuzzi was an absolute animal last year for the Boston Bruins down the stretch.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I agree. Like you might be by trade deadline. I see the defense might be like a totally different unit than what we're looking at the moment, right? So it is kind of a tough one to call.
Yeah, and I mean, hopefully you get growth from guys like Timothy Liljegren, right?
Yeah.
Who was a healthy scratch towards the end of the season last year. I don't believe he started game 1 of the playoffs, maybe, or game 2 or something. I don't think he played every game.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a wild card depending on what you get from John Klingberg, but John Klingberg looked pretty good last night. I don't know. Everyone seems to be, he's either going to be great or he's going to be Tyson Berry.
Right.
Oh, don't say that. Yeah, I wrote a total article about that because that's what I was hoping wouldn't happen. I'm jinxing it right away that it won't happen, right? This is what's going to be. John Klingberg will be the next Tyson Berry, so.
But hey, like I mentioned earlier, like a guy like Nylander's kind of taking him under his wing. He's showing some leadership there. He's getting him up to speed on the penalty or on the power play. And it's working. I mean, he was instrumental in a couple of their goals yesterday. He had 2 assists. And if he can shoot the puck like he did when he was with the Dallas Stars, I don't think a lot of people are going to be comparing.
He did look really, really good, actually, on the power play. I think that's where he's going to make his money. That's where we're all going to fall in love with him, is on that power play. He just looked like he had done it before so many times. I mean, Morgan Riley was good, and I was used to him in that spot, but John Klingberg just felt better. Like, I don't know if you can put that into.
Yeah.
He
brings
just
another
felt
element
better
too.
when he was on the ice. He was just, I don't know, the power play just feels like it's clicking.
They've needed a second shot option for years. It can't just be Austin Matthews from the top of the circle. It can't just be John Tavares in front of the net or William Nylander down low. They need a shot from somewhere else on the ice. And a guy like John Klingberg can provide that. And a guy like William Nylander can provide that. If he's going to want the amount of money that he's commanding, north of $10 million or so at the end of the season, he's got to shoot the puck more. And if he's going to do it like he did yesterday, I might be willing to give it to him.
Yeah.
That was my favorite thing when they added him. I just saw that. I've always kind of complained about Riley missing that shot element. He does the rest of the stuff fine, but we saw last night that John Klingberg, he not only is just super buttery with his passing, but he's got a shot
He
too.
just fired on that. He knows how to get it through, and that's a skill on its own, right? Not just having a hard shot, but being able to get it through. Just finding those little seams. Yeah. So it's very important. All right. Well, thank you so much, Stephen Brown, for joining us. We had Stephen Brown from Downtown Sports and Sports Center on TSN. And we talked some Leafs. We appreciate you coming here. We hope you can join us again sometime in the future.
Yeah, of course. Whenever I'm free, I'm always happy to come on and talk some Leafs.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you, Steven. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Of course, guys.
All right.
Yeah, man.
All right. So we just had Stephen Brown join us, and that was fucking awesome. He was great.
That was awesome. He was so good. Oh my god!
We got to stop bringing on guests that just put us to shame. This just keeps everyone so much more professional.
Hey, this is for the people. We're bringing them on for
you,
the people.
listener.
Listeners love this. And on that note, check out Stephen Brown and his YouTube channel. He's got other content out there as well, I believe. His YouTube thing, and he's working for Sports Center and all this stuff. Oh my god, what a guy we just had on the show.
Yeah, very smart guy.
Knocking that in. Make sure to follow him too.
It's here somewhere. It just says his name. Stephen followed you. That's fantastic, isn't it?
It is DTSB _98
on X.
Go follow Steven.
DTSB, as in downtown Stephen Brown.
That's right.
_98. Yeah,
Yes, on
DTSB
X.
_98 on
Okay,
X.
so that was
That's
great.
right.
So more notes on the game last night. 1 of 82,
Yeah.
but I was up and down like a horse drawers on that. Like, I was so happy. I mean, at the beginning of the
Man.
game, it was just like I was completely devastated. I was like, this team isn't going to work. Oh my God. Like, I wasn't confident in the preseason, but I'm telling myself, it's just preseason, right? Craig says it doesn't even matter. So it doesn't even matter. It's fine. It's fine. And then they go and botch that first period. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no, what's happening? They pulled it out, but like, did you not think it should have been better? Do you think it's going to get better?
man.
Do you think the lines need to be shuffled?
So, like, for game one, I think it was awesome because it gave us everything for a first game of the season. I do not want game two to look like
That's
that.
a great point.
Like, yeah, like, that was a fun game. I mean, I love it when Austin Matthews just puts the team on his back and does his thing. I mean, he's got quite the reputation for season openers. But, I mean, the one thing is that in total, the structure of the D, I think, looked fine. But wow, there was some glaring mistakes. You know, like CJ Brody right off the hop.
That
when
just
he
happens. That's not CJ Brody. He's not going to do that every time he goes to the corner. Like, it just happens.
No, and apparently there was a million people through that arena on that ice surface throughout the day. So everyone was complaining about the ice. You know, like the only bad one was the Domi, where like he had 2 times he could have gotten out of the zone and it led to a goal.
Yeah.
You know, like that's something that needs to be cleaned up. But yeah, but you know, in total, I think I just don't want to see it be. I don't want to see a 6-5 game in game 2. But I want Samsonov to look a little bit better. I hope they go to him. I don't want to see Wall. Samsonov.
Well, if they go to Wall, that's 100% telling you that it's going to be a split this year, and that Samsonov has not won a starter's job.
Yeah. Well, like, would you be fine with just a 50-50 split? Just rotate?
Samsonov should be given every opportunity at that job first.
Yeah. Everyone's so high on Wall, but he's played 13 games.
Yeah, but then when he plays 50 and he plays 100, what are we not going to let the kid play? Oh, like, he's good. He's been good in those games, right? That's the thing. So, I think that he's going to play, like, Samsonov's going to play 50, 55 games this year, right? So Joseph Woll's going to get games in. Like, that's still 25, 30 games, right? He's going to get in. Right? Yeah, so good.
That's
so
good.
if he ends the year and,
I'm happy
he's got 41, 43 games played or whatever, like, now he's got 43 and you go into next year and you kind of evaluate. But are you going to maybe, if he starts to take it at the end of the season, let Joseph Woll start to take some of Samsonov starts? I think that's the conversation to be had right now, is that if Samsonov can't hold up his end of the bargain, is Joseph Woll going to be good enough to step in and even take that spot? Or is he not ready?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's also, like, what's your goalie going to be through the majority of the season? Someone who can actually withstand the 55 games, and the difference between having a hot hand when it comes down to the playoffs. Like, I think they're totally different starting positions. Because, like, I don't want Wall to have a 50-50 split, but I'm totally comfortable that if we come to the last week and he's the better performing goalie, then he's now our starter. You know, I think I just don't want to see him become this quickly. We're going to him because Samsonov doesn't look good, and even
we're going to
see
him probably games, because they got on Saturday they play, and then they play on Monday again against the Blackhawks. I can't remember who they play on Saturday, right? But Samsonov, so Samsonov will get Minnesota on Saturday, right? He should if he's the starter now, and then Joseph Woll would get the next one on Monday, right? Because it's only a day's rest and whatever. And then you let Samsonov take the next games in the week because you have Tampa coming up. And you also have, who else did you have coming up in the division? I can't remember. Somebody else good. It was mentioned on the Real Kipper and Bourne show earlier. Sammy was talking about it, but I can't remember who they got coming up. So it makes sense, right? It makes sense.
2 to 3 is healthy. That's a good share, I think. You know, it keeps the starter fresh, but also, like gives you, well, in our case, gives our backup some good experience and not just the 12 games that some
Connor
starters get.
Hellebuck, man. Connor Hellebuck. I drafted him in the fantasy draft. What the hell, Connor Hellebuck? What the hell is going on? Last night was not good for the Winnipeg Jets, apparently. It was bad. I woke up this morning. I found out it was bad, very bad. So I have a bad start to my week in fantasy.
You should have waited and took Markstrom way later.
No. You know what's great? The year that Jack Campbell had an unreal season with the Leafs, he had like an unreal November or whatever, was the year that I played with Ted, my first year in fantasy. And I traded Ben, the Jacob Markstrom, for Jack Campbell because he drafted Campbell, so I drafted Markstrom because I knew that Ben was a fan of the Flames. So I was like, all right, so if he's the guy who took him, so then I'm going to take his goalie. And I just made him a friendly message like, hey, you want to switch your guy for my guy? Come on, it'll be more fun that way. He's like, okay. And Markstrom was not good. And Jack Campbell had an awesome season, at least a great November, which held him out through the rest of the year. And he had some pretty good flashes anyways. But I think I got the better end of that deal.
Yeah, I think Ben said the app stopped working for him at one point, and I think we just fleeced him on a couple trades. He just didn't want to come back.
We've had that. We've had that before in our league. That's why we have to add people every year.
Yeah. Why are spots always opening up in your league, guys?
Yeah.
I will not trade with some of you guys. Like,
some people
no, get out of here. Like, I'll offer you trades. No, if I want something, I'll come to you. Just get out of my. Like, you guys.
Exactly.
Yeah. The amount of trades that I offered you last year, you rejected every single one. And then the very first one you offered me, I accepted. It was Kane for.
I needed a goalie. It was Hart, and the Flyers
Evander
were just
Kane.
like, I was like, maybe they will because this Noah Cates, right? And then they got Scott Lawton, who's also a friend of the show now, and like, I don't know, like I just thought maybe the Flyers, they're doing things, and like I needed a goalie. It was only for a couple of weeks because I knew once my other goalie came back, I can't remember who got hurt. It was Georgiev or Samsonov because those were my goalies last year. But if one of those guys were hurt and they'd be back, I didn't need a goalie forever. I just needed a good goalie for right now. So I figured I'd bet on Philly right as I picked up Carter Hart.
Well, do you remember what happened to my end of the trade? Because Evander Kane got his wrist cut open the very next night.
Either of us. We both lost that trade.
I gave you Carter Hart, and he was awful for your trade. And
but you got Evander Kane back for the playoffs, and then what happened after that, Greg? So it ended up working out, didn't it?
What part are you talking?
Kind of working out, I guess. And like,
I mean, in the end,
I guess
in the end, I'm happy.
A couple of points for it. I don't know how many, but he probably did.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. He didn't leave my team, that's for sure. And he's on my team again.
Good for you. Yeah, I didn't pick him up this year. Just decided no. But I got his line mate or captain, anyways.
I was gonna say, I think I have your guy's line mate.
That's a good point. That's a great point. All right, boys. Yeah. Well, this was fun. That was great. Stephen Brown was awesome.
Good show.
We will be back on Monday. We'll be broadcasting on Amherst Island Radio on Tuesday. So
we'll be back on Tuesday.
We'll be back here.
Yes.
We'll be hanging out. We'll be talking whatever the heck happened over the last few days, and I'm sure there's much more news to come. Thank you for joining us for Split the Defense Hockey Podcast. We will catch you in a few days. Peace.
Yeah.
See ya.
You've been listening to
Split the Defense,
where Jordan Webster, Ted Evans, and Craig Pearce talk about the NHL and all things hockey.
Split the Defense
Can be found wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. It's also broadcasted on Amherst Island Radio, 101.3 FM, and online at CJAI.CA.